Bernie Sanders didn't hold back on the Democrats on Mehdi Hasan's new podcast with The Intercept. Check it out.
One thing I've always thought the Democrats could do, the left could do in the US, as someone who used to come and visit here and now lives here, I find fascinating. The Republicans have spent years pushing this line that the media has a liberal bias in this country. And I find liberals seem to be unwilling to push back hard against that narrative. Obviously on cultural, social issues, yes, there's a liberal bias in kind of East Coast media. But on economic issues, on tax, on corporations, on inequality, clearly not. It's BS to say the media is left-wing. So do you think people on the left should be pushing back much harder against that narrative here in Washington, D.C.?
I mean, and when, yes, the answer to your question, the short answer is yes. The problem is when people talk about somebody being a liberal, and I'm not a liberal, I'm a progressive. What's your view on gay rights? What's your view on racism? What's your view on sexism? Oh, I'm a liberal. But what is your view on whether or not we raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour? Whether we rebuild our infrastructure, whether we have progressive taxation. We have got to redefine what is important in America. Today, there are thousands of people in this country who can't afford to go to a doctor. Today, there's a mom waking up who can't afford affordable child care for her little one. There are senior citizens a mile away from here who are trying to survive on $12,000 a year Social Security.
Should be a huge
Does anybody give a shit about them? Does anyone cover them? The answer is no.
No, it should be a huge scandal. And here's a question just about tactics again. You've been very direct, very blunt. You are in this conversation right now. You're known for kind of dropping the jargon. You talk about the billionaire class. You talk about Medicare for all, not single payer or technical terms. Do you think Democrats have been a bit weak when it comes to talking directly? People say, oh, populist. It's a scary word now in the Donald Trump era.
I think that's the wrong question, because the question is, who are the Democrats? Are there some who have the guts to take on the billionaire class? Yeah, most don't. So it's not that they don't know how to develop the narrative. They don't believe it.
Wow.
All right. In my view, obviously, and what we're working very hard for is a transformation of the Democratic Party to make it a party which stands with the working class, that is prepared to take on the billionaire class. That is not rhetoric. Guess what? There is a billionaire class. There is a Wall Street which puts huge amounts of money into politics. There is the Koch brothers. And we got to deal with that reality.
So I think that on that last point there, I think they're both right. Mehdi Hasan is saying, is there a problem that the Democrats are too wonky and technocratic and that doesn't resonate because it's like too nerdy and that doesn't really cut through the bullshit and tap into something that resonates? And then Bernie basically says, and I'm very encouraged and surprised and happy about this response from Bernie. He goes, no, it's that they just don't believe in what I believe in. Damn, those are fighting words, and I like them. He's like, no, they just don't believe, like, okay, I believe in Medicare for all. A lot of the Democrats don't believe in Medicare for all. It's not, a difference in messaging, and they want to say single payer, but I want to say Medicare for all. It's that they don't believe in Medicare for all. And, Bernie's right about that. But also Mehdi Hasan is right about even when the Democrats do agree on a policy that Bernie would agree with, like just take, for example, universal background checks for gun purchases, they don't know how to fight. And they are too wonky and they are too technocratic. So even when the Democrats are right about something, their messaging is just the worst I've ever seen ever. Nobody knows less about how to get voters than Democratic establishment strategists. They have no idea what they're doing. In fact, you could hire a big money Democratic strategist and just do the opposite of whatever they say, and then you'll probably win. That's how bad they are. So, but this was a great conversation, by the way. You should check out the entire conversation. It's only about, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes long or so. But that first point was interesting, too, from Mehdi Hasan, where he says, people say, there's a liberal bias in the media, but there's not a liberal bias. And then he goes on to, dissect that. And he says, you could say on social issues they're liberally biased. Of course, they're like for gay marriage and they're for women's rights. Fair enough to say they're liberally biased. I mean, biased is a weird word because it's like, it almost implies like an irrational leaning in one direction over another. So it's not a bias. It's just they're right about the social issues and that they don't want to, treat women as second-class citizens. But on economic issues, there's definitely no liberal bias. And in fact, it's the opposite. Hey, don't rock the boat. Don't raise the minimum wage. Don't regulate Wall Street effectively. Don't fight against these trade deals that outsource good-paying American jobs. So, and I never thought about it in that exact way, but he's 100% right. So you could say, oh, sure, on cultural, social issues, they lean left, but On economic issues, they don't lean left by any stretch of the imagination. So we need to be more specific about that. But my way of phrasing that is, it's an establishment bias. So the establishment media is not liberal. The establishment media is biased in favor of the establishment. And so there's three biases: the establishment bias, the neutrality bias, and the sensationalism bias. Establishment bias is self-explanatory. They're always going to act like the spectrum of debate in DC is all that exists, and you can't go outside of that limited spectrum of debate, which is very far right-wing and very corporatist overall. The neutrality bias is, we're going to be in the middle between the Democrats and Republicans and just tell you what both sides say, and then shut up and let you decide, even if one is objectively right and one is objectively wrong. We're not going to give you the truth, basically. And the sensationalism bias is, that, again, speaks for itself. Oh my God, let's fucking go nuts over Stormy Daniels because, sensationalism, sex, blah. As opposed to what they're discussing, which is like poverty, income and wealth inequality, corruption, endless war, all this stuff. So, great conversation. Bernie's message is getting sharper as time goes by. And look out, because assuming any terrible situation unfolding, he's going to be the next president.